Thank you very much for coming. I'm really happy to see you and to be introduced to you. This work is mostly, I'm quoting somebody, I call him K, and most of my works circulate around his story. It's a personal story. So this is a journey from Evrus, the river between Turkey and Rome. And yeah, that person is walking through that journey, and which he did 20 years ago on foot. And this is more every village from Evrus and every city till Kavala, Alexanderpoli, Kombatini. And also there's, as you heard, that there is a story about this cemetery of people who drowned or died in the way. And I had to find all these places. I did it with a cameraman who was shooting me, and with a car. We went till Evrus. So this is very much to, as thank you said, it's not victimizing refugees, but it's giving it another dimension. It's transforming into something which brings more, produce more thinking, produce more, another layer. As you see, I'm talking about, like I said, I walked this path already maybe centuries ago. So I'm talking about the collective I. I'm talking here about this between cultures, how much we are embedded into each other. And especially I'm talking about the West and East, or Middle East. So it's, for me, is how Europe was in a state of amnesia for many, many centuries. And Islam came, and of course Islam was not, they were not only Arab, they were really Persian, Kurds, and many past days. And they went to Greece and they took their knowledge and they translated it and developed it. And they gave it back to Europe in the dark ages. So somehow Islam did a kind of therapy when, when Europe was in a state of amnesia, and it reduced Europe to its own past, and somehow made Europe remember where it came from. So for me, it's also this kind of mirroring, and when I say I've been here before, but I said the only witness is silence. Only silence is my witness to say what I was here. So it's always this what we think nowadays. Also, like they say, okay, this refugee wave of refugees, and those countries they parasite on Europe, and again poor countries and so. And I'm trying to provoke these questions: why those countries are having these wars, and of course, this not in this work in general. These wars have been produced by different countries, from other countries, as you see in the Bell Project, and exported. It's some countries are doing Western countries, but the West are doing making its own wars, but in different places, not in different places anymore. They are smart enough not to repeat the same experience. They did it twice, like World War I and II. So it has many layers for me also, and honestly it's the first time I start to write, and some people told me, yeah, you should write further, it's nice, you can write poetically, and I never wrote before that. There are some sentences I still don't know why they are there. I need some time to understand what I wrote, but it's important to trust to trust your hand, trust the pencil and the paper. Sometimes when I write, I hold my pen, and the paper moves under the pencil. So I see it like this, and I trust a lot also when I write. So it's not bad for the first writing, no? Yeah. So it comes from real story. For example, we have 53 people walking towards Kavala, so it's real things. And after that, it goes back to Narcissus and the verticality of Narcissus, seeing himself from above, seeing things from above, looking at himself only, sorry, not things, from above and dying from this verticality. And I'm really, in the Bell project also, and other view from above, very much mentioning this verticality. And that's why I say you have to take Narcissus by surprise. You know, you have to claim him from the back or something. I don't remember what I wrote, or when he's asleep, because also I refer to Gilgamesh. I don't know why suddenly I go to Gilgamesh, but it makes sense that he was searching for eternity, and he didn't find it. So it's yeah, it's very much about these cultures, how much they took from each other, how much they embedded into each other. In this moment, I'm talking about the moment where Case he meets his brother-in-law, and he says, "Your father died 5 months ago, sorry," and he's quite numb, and he doesn't feel anything because he say, "Why you are so numb?" They say, "I don't know. It's the first time that my father dies. I don't know how to feel. You know, it's and which is the first time, of course, and the last time too." Yeah, there are many parts. If you have any questions, I will be happy to answer. I mean,
you said about Gilgamesh, you said that he had found a plant, and then the snake came and ate his plant.
Yeah, that's in Gilgamesh.
Could you tell that story a little bit more elaborately?
Yes, in Gilgamesh, Epic of Gilgamesh, which Gilgamesh is searching for eternity. And then, so I think the Old Testament also took it, or somehow, I don't know where, somewhere else it exists, but it's quite old, the Mesopotamian civilization. So he's searching for that plant, and that's the moment he like there are so many evil things and creatures, he kills them with Enkidu, because he and Enkidu, they are very good friends. Enkidu is signifying nature by being that wild, and Gilgamesh signifies or symbolizes culture, so both together. And at the end, when he sees Enkidu dies in front of his eye, and his body, you know, like gets shortened, so he gets like he doesn't know that there is something, death exists. He didn't know, he thought that he's eternal. So he starts to search for eternity. And then that's why at the end he finds an old man, and the old man says, there is a plant, if you get it, and you will be eternal if you eat it. But, when you have it, you shouldn't sleep. You shouldn't fall asleep. And he said, okay, I'm not going to sleep, so it is the only thing. And then he falls asleep. He fell asleep, and a snake comes and eats the plant. That's why snakes always, renew their skin. So it's like a symbol of eternity. So it's that's why here it's about when you come to defeat death, but you are defeated by death's younger brother, which is sleep.
That's very beautiful.
Yes. Yeah, it's yeah. And in this moment also talking about those 3 days of laying in the same position, not letting anybody notice that you are there. And yeah, it's I don't know if you have any questions. I still can maybe elaborate with you more through your questions. I'm a more interactive person.
I have a question just precisely here. When you switch to your language,
yeah.
Can you tell me about that?
Well, it was a very nice technical, because I always, when there's a difficulty, there is a mistake. I know there is if there's a problem, I know that the material wants to stretch, and I know there is a possibility of something new. So with the cameraman, we went and we bought 2 tickets, and we took the train, the ship from Patra to Ancona, exactly the same, which happened 20 years ago. And they said, if we see you any time filming, we will punish you really badly. And nobody even allowed to use iPhones, Like I said, why? They said, do you know terrorism? I said, Never heard about it. It's about this, and so we were not allowed to make any filming. I was so frustrated, you know, we paid so much money and 24 hours being on that ship. We were not allowed, and I realized like I like, somehow I like this problem. And I realized that actually that person was in darkness the whole time because he was in this track when he was in the ship. So I realized it would be nice to make this journey all dark. Of course, he didn't see anything. So if I film whatever I film, it will be fake. It will be somehow not the same thing. So somehow the process of the work was teaching me something new. And then I called it, you know, like maybe I understood what I mean with blind as a mother tongue when I met Hussein 2 days ago. Because Hussein has having difficulties talking to his mom. He speaks Turkish, his mom speaks Kurdish, and the sister is translated between both of them. So that's why I understood more what does it mean blind as a mother tongue. So that moment when you get blind, because mother tongue is not a language probably. It's only language. I mean, I learned 6 languages. It's 5 languages. But plus my mother tongue, but the other 5 are really language for me because I learned them. But mother tongue is never language for me. I don't know, it's a part of. So I'm talking about this blindness when there is no light. So also somehow when you think about the biblical, let there be light, is something more essential from somewhere else deciding to happen. And so let there be darkness is more Darwinian. It's more somehow evolving the materials, because I say here, maybe God gave us maybe eyes or vision is the final touch of God we got from Him. So it's by this eye we created Him too. He created us and we created Him at the same time, because it's about light, and here it's about darkness. I don't know, I have to dig more why I said that. So as I said, my many works, I still I'm learning more and trying. It's kind of archaeological thing for me to learn from my own works, and why I have this kind of sentences sometimes. I like. I know it sounds really like artists from 50s or something. You know? I know, but I think also it's dangerous if we rationalize everything and art becomes, you know, completely rational, and you know, it's like working in an office, you know, and I don't want to be like that. I really like I like to surprise myself. I like to get known to my steps and my mistakes and why they are. I sometimes go back to my basket and see what I throw away, and to see why I throw them away. And maybe I have another state of mind to take them out. So exactly what the West is doing is cutting a very important part from itself, but trying to purify itself, to become Europe, to become you know, like how to pure again, you know, in this fascist way. And in this work also, I finished it with the moment of the stadium of built by in Mussolini time, the fascist regime of Italy, and very much referring to the futurism and referring to the forgettingness what one has in the system of neoliberal economy and late capitalism, being always in the sake of the future, forgetting about the past. And like after 70 years of Holocaust, you have neo-Nazi in Germany, they're marching, and so it's like 70 years. It's really, you must have a very short memory to take part in this march again. So it's very much I'm referring to that fascism, and it's very nice coincident also that aeroplane comes through the head of the guy, and it's like I didn't tell the cameraman, we didn't call the pilot to fly that. And it's like things all came together also, and Yeah, I was very unsure about the work, and mostly also first when I make a work I show some friends, and I am I'm not I never go to exhibitions. I'm not in the art world at all, and like Melia knows that in Berlin also I never go to exhibitions. But I have some friends and we meet in bars, and so they have nothing to do with art, and I show them their works, and when they like it I say, okay, come go out. So it's yeah, this is
So so at what point did you develop the sculpture that you're carrying through? Like was it very early in the process of developing?
no, it's like I had artist in residency in Weimar, 2010, and it was really so cold outside, and there was like 1 meter or 70 centimeters snow outside. I couldn't go out at all, just for shopping and coming home, and it was quite boring. I didn't know what to do. I was balancing the broom on my nose. And once a while I was doing that. I could do it as a kid, but balancing, but I couldn't develop it. And then there I realized that I can stand up and sit and walk a little bit, and I thought maybe I should install a camera on it, or 2 cameras, and to see myself from above and so on. And then I developed 2 mirrors actually. I thought it's nicer to navigate, because also, and then first, as I said, it's very Darwinian, very blindly comes the work, the materials start to teach you your philosophy, the philosophy around the work. And so I was interested in this kind of verticality of climbing, as I said, on Narcissus, to see your scattered part, to see your parts which you don't have an overview because of the gap in art history, or the gap in history itself, or cultural domination of the hegemony of different part of the world on your culture. So by losing this centered eye, so it's a shaky center. It's a very shaky. Normally, center should be very stable, and here it's quite shaky. Somebody from the periphery is fighting to go to find the center. And of course, if you are not completely centered, this will not stand on your nose. So you must be very centered. But being centered is not something that belongs to our culture, because we didn't have Descartes, we didn't have the Cartesian moment of being centered. This is me, and I think that I exist, or I am, or something like this. He says, I don't know. But that's so for me. It was like. Those parts were very important, how I go through space, and I almost remember, because I remember I function with a memory, with a collective memory, but also, like centuries ago. So also this scattered, this fragmentality of seeing things for me, both as a person, because I survived 3 times abortion, as you see it in this work, and the second also the collective we, like I wouldn't call it identity. The same is also, we don't have the overview of seeing ourselves. So it's that's what I'm talking here. Enslaving my upper part is enslaving the rest. How it's called my below part. I say I don't remember, but talking about Narcissus on chords and verticality of chords, and melody, which is horizontal, because when you play a chord, you have notes piled on top of each other like a bell, and the bell is in chords. First comes from the church, comes from the Western, later comes from the church, and the melody comes more from the East, because we play a tone at a time. We don't play 2 tones at the same time, or 3. So there is more accumulation of notes while you are playing chords. So so that's why what I'm talking about, making these 2 here. And practically also one of them, it's some people say, is it dangerous to walk? I say, I see more than you, don't worry, because I can see from the many things from the back side and from right, left, and you have to tune it like an instrument. And you see your feet, and also you see 2 meters, what's coming, so it's always giving you signals what's going on.
How much does it weigh?
Yeah, in this situation, because I add some more, because you see it says, at the end it was like around 4 kilos. It was like, yeah, I had to put sponsors.
It
Yes.
did evolve across the country.
Yes.
Yes, so I thought we see one years ago.
Exactly, it's evolved. Yeah, evolved also according to the places I went. And yeah. Any questions? Yeah, sorry.
Hi. So at some point you said you don't want to victimize the migrant, immigrant. And I realized at that point that I was actually identifying with Kay
Yeah.
through pain and through sadness. And then I realized maybe part of it is because I am from Turkey myself and I have a different perspective towards these things. I've seen it happen in my own country, and I do feel some sort of resentment towards the West because of the kind of stories I've grown up hearing about how West has influenced these kind of tragedies in our
Yeah.
regions. And I was wondering, since you said you interact a lot with your audiences, do you see a difference in the way your audiences from the West and the East emotionally react to our stories?
A very good question. For me, I do the works mostly on like this barkeeper in Berlin, with whom I had lots of my artistic discussions. Is the same like my mother. When I go home and I show my works to my mom and my family, for me they are completely the same audience. I don't see, of course they belong to different cultures, but the work doesn't let them identify with their own cultures. That's why for me it's not putting the white man who did the colonialism and this in a corner and attacking him. For me it goes beyond that conflict. It goes beyond that conflict because when you tell a German young 20 years old student, yeah, you know what you did to the Jews, he said, I didn't do it. Of course he didn't do it, his grandfather did it and his grandma. And when you make somebody under this pressure, you put him, he becomes a monster. So for me, guilt and blame and those things I try always to avoid. I try that we are all the same problem. I try to make the best out of it. As you know, I'm a Kurd and you are Turkish, and you know, as I said like 2-3 days ago, we should have been fighting right now. But you know, it's not about that, and it's the illusion with the politicians are making for us. I think lately I'm not working in art anymore. Like 1.5 years since I'm more focusing on something else completely. And this something is to connect via being silent. And at the moment where we are all facing the next 30 years, we are going to face the worst, which we will never imagine. Like the global warming will reach to certain degrees, like 90 degrees in Africa and the Middle East. That we will have around hundreds of 400 million refugees, you know, not only 4 million, which we had, like it was just a picnic. It was not actually refugee crisis. It was nothing. And just imagine it gave birth to so many populists in the world and to fascism. Only 4 millions. We're talking about 400 millions now, where they could go. You would never be able to live in an oven, or maybe it would be a sauna, no, 90 degrees. You cannot live in. So it's there is no really way out. Actually, there is no way out where we are going. We are on the edge of extinction. Radioactivity in the oceans are spreading. It's contaminating 30%, 35% of the oceans. And yeah, the ice is melting, just like actually we don't have, I really feel so sorry for people who are just born and they will see the worst of it. So for me, is I saw myself more as a soldier before in these works. I was more a fighter. And now I'm a nurse. I became a nurse that we have too many injuries. We have too many people who have injuries from both sides. And it sounds really very, very cheesy and very romantic. But exactly like my name, Hiwa means hope. And when people ask me, what's your name? I say, my name is highly unlikely, but not impossible. Which means hope, and this hope is highly unlikely, this moment. This moment of going down, not only poor countries, it will come here too and everywhere. In this moment, we just need a nurse. To become nurses, you have to go to the heart and to connect there. I would invite you for a few seconds or minutes of just going to the heart with me. Without any thinking and also without any questioning and answering.